Hi, everyone. I'm Peter NG, and welcome back to Catching Up, the podcast where conversations don't end when the bell rings. If you're new here, make sure you follow us on Instagram at the Catching Up Podcast for clips, updates, and behind the scenes content. Today, I'm super excited to be reconnecting with Jay Gonzalez Matos, who's a barista currently. But more importantly, I mean, not to downplay being a barista, because I do have questions about that. You're also working on your undergrad, working in writing and rhetoric. So is that like the specialty that you're working in or the degree?
That's a degree.
Okay, perfect. You're currently at UCF. From what I see on your form, you're credit wise, you're pretty close to a junior, which is crazy to me because I remember it. I felt like it was last year that you were still in high school. So, Jay, how have you been?
I've been good. Junior-ish, because I truthfully have never really figured out what the exact credit number is between like
Mm,
AP dual enrollment and then like transferring. I'm like ish around there. And
that's
also like
fair.
not being a full-time student. So, you know.
You're taking as many credits as you can in the current circumstances with
Yeah.
life and jobs and stuff like that in the way.
Yes.
That totally makes sense. For the people listening at home, how do we know each other?
I graduated class of 2023. I had your class right before COVID. Wait, did I start your class in COVID? Yes, COVID
Mm-hmm.
happened at the end of my freshman year of high school because we never came back from that spring break.
Right.
And then summer happened, and then I started sophomore year, and I started your class on Big Blue
Big
Button.
Blue Button. I do wonder sometimes if, like, as a company, Big Blue Button just got so like outflanked by Zoom and like Teams and all these other big names that I literally don't you see that again like at
Yeah,
all.
I feel like
So
there's like that they were really holding on to that contract with order.
yeah, truly. But yeah, you, Olivia, I had Ariel, I had Camilla. You guys were such a special group online. And it was, I want to say seventh period or sixth period, seventh period. I think it was
Yeah,
the
it
end of day.
was period.
Seventh period for a little while there, I feel like had a good streak where I would get lucky and get some great group of kids at the end of the day. That streak did not last, just for what
Sure.
it's worth. But I got very lucky, and even and especially like adding on to all of this, the circumstances of being at home and interacting with your teacher through a computer screen. I had some class periods where if I got a couple answers, it was kind of pulling teeth. So it was really fun getting that opportunity to have you guys. I always looked forward to it.
It
I
was fun.
I tried so desperately to entertain. I think that class. So for people that were not in the school system with COVID and when that was going on, in our school at Timber Creek, the year that I'm teaching Jay, we had limited number of students that were allowed back in the classroom. So maximum, we had like 10 kids in a class. We had to distance how many, like where the desks were, and then
Yeah.
everyone else was at home. And yeah, it was quite the experience because I'd be sitting almost similarly how I'm doing things now. I would be
Yes.
sitting in a position, talking to a screen,
Yeah.
and then could turn my head to like talk to the people in the class. But I could share my screen. I could share like what I'm talking about, like the technicalities or the technical stuff of what I was able to show. I technically was able to teach everything that I normally teach. But yeah, there was definitely some big limitations. So I really did remember very fondly having you guys. And I do remember vividly. Let's see if you remember this. Do you remember the first time we saw each other in person?
Uh, I don't know that I do, but I do remember because I know I came back the first time I actually my first time coming back in person was a little bit before everyone else did. I had kind of started like like soft launching coming back to school or
Yeah.
before like because after like, it was really empty during the fall, and then like that January everyone came back. Not everyone, but like
Yeah.
a lot. It got
A
definitely
lot
got
more people. Yeah.
and I kind of started coming in a little more during like right before winter break. Sorry, I don't remember it, but I know that I was probably surprised because like I knew you were well because I had seen you at least at some point, just like in hallways before, but I don't know. I think there must have been there. I can only assume that there was like a funny element of like, are you this kid?
There's a perfect story to this. So
Okay.
it was a day that I was proctoring an ACT for juniors, and you, or it might have been even SAT, because you were. Oh, no, I think it was. No, yeah, that makes
Oh,
more sense.
sophomore.
It must have been SAT because you were a sophomore, or like PSAT or something like that. And I was in a separate classroom this day for the proctoring, and a group of random kids came into my door, or came into my class that I was in, and they're like, "Mr. NG," and I'm like, "Do I recognize you guys? Do I know you guys?" And yeah, I think you were with Camilla, and I think Olivia might have been with you as well. But it was just a very surreal moment. And then obviously from there, we saw each other quite
Sure.
often.
That's so funny.
But I do remember that so vividly. And, it's crazy. I think I shared this experience with my students, especially around this time. There's so much that was like so unique to that time period that hope, obviously I'm not hoping for anything like this to come back anytime soon.
Right.
But one thing that really stood out, I think, is like when you're teaching online, and most of your kids, I didn't require my students to have their cameras on. Most of my students were just chatting. I would create a visual image of what I thought these kids looked like.
Sure.
And so when I did end up seeing you guys, sometimes it was pretty close, and many times I was way off.
Sure.
And then even this was wild to me. Even the kids I would see that were wearing masks,
Yeah.
we yeah, we couldn't obviously see anything like nose down, but you can see emotes, and you can kind of see like how someone's facial muscles are reacting. But the times I'd see them like pull their mask down to eat or drink water or whatever, I almost had like a shock moment of like, whoa, that's not what you look like. And yeah, my brain had literally like created this whole image of
Yeah.
what I thought all these people look like. So it's such a fascinating time that, I mean, came with a lot of bad,
Sure.
obviously.
No, but it was funny. I think also like with the people that I became friends with in that class, I'm still mutuals with a lot of them. Like I
Yeah.
still mutuals with like Olivia and Camila and stuff.
Hmm.
And like just like I don't know that we would have spoken otherwise. I mean, actually, that's not true. Honestly, Olivia and Camila are probably the kind of people I'd be drawn towards in a classroom anyway.
Yeah.
But like it was cool because we didn't see each other, and it's not like we were sat next to each other. We were just
Right.
all in
Right.
all the like the annoying kids that wanted to say something funny in the in the classroom group chat, and then you know but there was a cool like social kind of like Twilight Zone happening
Sure.
during where it's like not that all bets were off, but it's like it was a little bit of a like social Wild West. It's
It
like
was. No, it truly was. And I'll be honest, like seeing how internet culture has changed even in just 6 years, I think I dodged a bullet because like I've seen like how like like nowadays, for example, I'm gonna age myself significantly, but like nowadays you have people regularly saying like, "Oh, are we cook chat?" Like referencing Twitch culture and stuff like
right,
that.
right,
And that stuff has been popular for a long time pre-COVID, but I think
yeah,
with COVID and post-COVID, it became so much more of the zeitgeist and so much more of like normal everyday language and vernacular
yeah.
that thinking of imagining that now
Mhm.
of like just a Twitch chat of students, basically. I truly think it would have been hell. I think apart from kids that just don't care, I think I
Yeah,
probably would have had like class clown on the millionth level trying to do like the most heinous stuff that you see on like Twitch channels and stuff.
yeah.
So yeah, that
Yeah,
was
the
something
worst,
else.
the worst that I would see during that time, because like again, 6 other classes I was taking
Right,
in
right.
actual format, would be like I would just feel bad because I think like and I know I could go on a tangent about this and I won't, but like the disconnect that people have, especially like with certain like internet culture things, see AI, whatever. Let me not
Sure.
get high horse, but like that is a person that is a real life person that's like talking to you right now, and it's like I would, even if I was not having a fun time in the class, I hate math, but I would feel terrible whenever no one would put an answer,
Oh,
the
yeah.
math teacher being like, okay guys, so
Guys, anybody?
anyone here, it's like
Yeah.
I hate this class, and I but I cannot let this man just like talk to a screen and talk to nobody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. And I mean, that happens in person too, but I feel like in person there's a little more shame, and so people kind of like, "Oh, I guess I should react. I guess I should respond when someone's calling upon me."
Sure.
But yeah, it gets kind of brutal. Let's talk a little bit about that barista job you've been doing. So I know you've been doing this for a little while now.
Yes.
What coffee shop are you working at now that you're closer to UCF in Orlando?
Gonna totally dog myself with this, but I work at the Seven Brew here in that open up
Oh,
on Front Crunch.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I actually had been working at Seven Brew before in a different location.
Got
So
you.
when I moved when I graduated high school, the area we were living in was expensive. Me and my mom moved up to Leesburg.
That's
Where's
right.
Leesburg? No one cares. There's nothing there. I mean,
Yeah.
there's stuff now. But when I moved there, they had just opened a Seven Brew, and I had never heard of Seven Brew before, and I started working there. It's a drive-through coffee place, very similar to Dutch Bros. Surprised
Yep.
there's legal things because the menu is almost exactly the same. But um,
Yeah.
I started working there, and it was very much like I had never heard of the place. I didn't know anybody. Like everyone that I had met and become friends with since middle school,
Mhm.
been living the same area nearby Timber Creek and stuff. I like moved nowhere, started a new job, whole new cast of people, like a new season started.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And I also didn't was starting to learn how to drive because I didn't drive throughout all of high school. So it's like it was my first job.
Right.
I was taking classes completely online, and I didn't drive, so I couldn't really like go down to Orlando whenever. So my life was kind of just like there. And I started working there, and it was honestly really fun. It's a very strange kind of. There's definitely like a work culture that makes it really silly and fun.
Yeah.
But I worked there for about like a year and no, I think I did I think it was a year and a half. And then I decided that I hated taking classes online and I simply cannot handle it anymore. And I transferred to UCF at some point, and
Sure.
I was a fully online student. And I was like, if I'm going to be going to UCF, I want to take an in-person class. Like I want
Yeah. Right.
UCF thing. And for that year, I just saved up money, and then I moved down. I moved down. I
Nice.
bought an apartment. It's my own apartment,
Look
and
at you. Okay.
yeah, and I've been living here for after choosing. I'm going to renew my lease soon, so that's how long. And
Yeah. At least
yeah,
a year.
yeah, and then when I moved down here, I got another barista job at a smaller business,
Ah,
and
it is what it is. It's a job. Yeah.
and
It's
then
funny.
I moved here, and I transferred to that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Got you. Your experience gives me vibes of like a coming of age movie, like high school girl goes to some small town that's like everyone knows each other. You're just working in a coffee shop trying to focus on school. Like I could easily see that. Who would you have cast you or be you if you got to pick anyone?
I don't think that it would be a good match at all, but this is specifically something I started getting a lot at this job.
Okay.
And I still get it sometimes, even now in Orlando. And I
Mhm.
don't like repeating it because it feels like I'm like, I'm like, guys, no, people say it.
No, come on, come on. You gotta. I'm asking. It's not like you opened this conversation by being like, "Do you know I look like this person?"
The only celebrity lookalike I've ever gotten is Jenna Ortega. And although I don't see it, I do eat it up every time someone says it.
Hey, a compliment is a compliment is a compliment, and not to mention in this theoretical world where you have this coming of age film, yeah, it's perfect.
I also
Why
think it would be
not?
really funny to see her play like very like Gilmore Girls style.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd just be really funny to watch, I think.
A bit different than her Wednesday role for
A little
sure.
bit.
Okay, I like that. Let's go ahead and move into one of our signature segments that I like asking all my guests. So, something I like asking everyone when they get on is what's something that you learned today? So, if you want, I can start or you can go first, whichever is easier.
You go.
Okay, so this is what I found recently. It's actually related to what I teach, anatomy and physiology. So, a common misconception, I knew this part, but this other thing is the new thing. A common misconception that I think a lot of people fall for is believing that teeth are bones. Because when you look at a skeleton, the teeth are typically there and they don't decompose. The teeth aren't just teeth, they're dental tissue. They're very similar in composition to bone with a lot of calcium and minerals, etc. But I didn't know this. The teeth with their enamel are the only tissue of the human body that lacks the ability to regrow, like that has regenerative abilities. Interesting. It's kind of fascinating, So the I know for a lot of people, dental care is not just expensive, but difficult to maintain. And some people have some pretty bad mental trauma with bad dentist experiences. I've been very lucky. I'm 34, turning 35 this year. I've never had a cavity my entire life. I'll knock on my table, but I know it's not always the case for everyone, and it can lead to some serious diseases and serious conditions. But yeah, the enamel as a tissue, once it's gone, it's gone.
That's funny because we get two sets of them. I'm like, surely there's more.
Right, you're like, come on,
Surely this isn't it.
where is it? Yeah, no, that's all we got.
That's crazy. For completely unrelated reasons, I'm probably gonna go buy floss after this.
Hey, you should be flossing anyway. That's such a big deal.
Anyways, fact is that I found out that I've listened to Mitski song "I'm Your Man" from "The Land Is Inhospitable" with Zorley. I've listened to it 203 times.
How many times is that?
203 times.
203 times.
Which,
do you know the song enough that if you had to do, like, you've seen those game shows where you have to, like, it's karaoke basically,
sure.
But you'd have to like recite the lyrics perfectly?
I think I could. It would be a really depressing karaoke.
Sure. But hey, I mean, if you've heard it 200 plus times, that's the hope.
I think I have. I think I could do it.
Okay. All right. I like that though.
Right now, please.
Were you in the, I know, like Spotify and Apple Music and YouTube Music, they give you like end of year recap stuff. Were you in like a top 1% or less for Mitski?
At some point, like, she's consistently been up there. Last couple, and it's like, I think it's more like I have built up so much rapport in 1 year that it's like it stays with you generation.
Sure.
On my record.
I got a quick question. I'm eager to know more about this.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm here interviewing you, but I would love to interview Ezra one day.
Yeah.
Another student, a former student of mine, and you two have been dating for quite some time now. How many years now is that?
5 this summer.
Oh, wow. 5 years. That's really impressive. If you had to think of one artist, music-wise, that Ezra got you on or you got Ezra on, what would you say?
I don't know if I should air out his business.
Okay, you don't have to out him like that, but...
So, I will say, he doesn't really listen to her as much as he used to.
Mm-hmm.
But when we first met, I was very like, I really badly wanted to be one of those people that has like a really cool Spotify rap and like Indian.
I'm not like the other people, yeah.
Right. And one of the things that caught me so off guard was that Ezra was like, "Yeah, I really rock with Taylor Swift." I was like, "What?"
Breaking down barriers. That's what I like to hear.
And I was like, "That's nice." Like, blank space. And then he like showed the Folklore album and like Evermore, and I was like, you know what, it's kind of good. And
it's different. Yeah,
I don't listen to her as much as I used to, but I definitely was like a hardcore like, no, never. And I still don't really listen to her all that much, but it definitely was something that he like made me warm up to, and not made me, but like,
opened your eyes or ears a little more to a different. A different variety. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I've had my fair share of experience with exactly Taylor as well. My wife is a massive Taylor Swift fan. She has seen Taylor. Julia will correct me when she listens to this episode if I'm wrong. I think she's seen Taylor 4 times, including once with me in Toronto. I mean, it was a spectacle. It was an incredible performance. But yeah, the album, I think it's called Midnights. That was the one that I really started to click with, where I was like, oh, I really like this vibe and this tune. And yeah, I feel like it's kind of like similar to what you're saying. She has enough variety for the most part that you can find something that you're like, I see it. Maybe not my favorite artist ever, but I see it.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. I'm glad we were able to share a little bit about music. When Ezra gets on, 100%, I'm gonna have to ask him as well. Let's continue with thinking about like where things are right now. So you're looking into. Let me see one more time. You said it was writing and rhetoric.
No, you're fine.
Tell me a little about that.
That's the degree program I'm in. It's my bachelor's degree. It's called Writing and Rhetoric. And I originally, when I first transferred to UCF, I was in English and I did technical communication and I had mentioned, and this was the plan always since high school, where I was like, well, I was a kid with good grades. Like I was a smart student.
Yeah.
No idea what I want to do, and don't know that I really still do know what I want to do, but
Totally normal.
But I knew I was the classes I enjoyed the most, and the thing I enjoyed the most was writing. So I was like, English major, and so that's kind of what I ended up. But then every time that I would hear people talk about English majors, it'd be like, don't do literature because, like, it's a dying market. No one wants to read. It's like ridiculous, but like just like there's no stable jobs in that, and so I was like, okay, well, technical communication sounds important, and like the kind of thing that if I tell people enough, people will be like, yeah, that sounds like you know what you're doing.
Sure.
And I was like, and so whenever people would ask me like, oh, what are you majoring? I'm like, an English major, but I guess like the most like market industry flexible version of it. And UCF specifically is very much geared towards like working in like technical writing.
Okay.
UCF in particular has a lot of ties towards a lot of companies like Lockheed Martin or a lot of like comp sci kind of companies. Yep. And I realized that I was not in the right place. In one of the classes, there was a bit of overlap with one of my electives that I needed to take. I was out of options, and the class that I wanted to take was taken up, and then the option that was open was called Disability Studies and Rhetoric. And it was taught by the Writing and Rhetoric program. It's like a comm major needs to take it and whatever. So I ended up taking the class. And I loved it so much. It was so great. It's taught by the department head of that program, and she's great. And it made me really curious about other classes. And I think I ended up signing up for another class, but I think I changed my major that same semester. And it was early on that I like a lot of the credits transferred over, but
anyway. So if you had to give like an elevator pitch of like writing and rhetoric, what is that all about? Because I'm genuinely super curious.
Funnily enough, they're divided as two separate programs at UCF, obviously because I had to change my major. I'd say that majoring in writing and rhetoric and like the kind of things that you study are just like the theory of writing. How does writing shape our understanding of communication? How do concepts, like how is society built and shaped by writing? And on some level, like how do we understand ourselves as people? And there's so many like social bonds that happen, and so much like that, like you live in a rhetorical environment, and how do you interact with it? And how does like writing is just as much a cognitive thing as it is a language building thing.
Sure.
And, words matter, and it's not linguistics, but it feels that way sometimes.
Okay.
But yeah, it's as opposed to just like it's a lot more about the writing the environment that writing creates, and how do we interact.
I see. Okay, interesting. If you had to pick like a dream job, guarantee that you'd be doing this for a career, like what would it be, especially like in that writing world?
The kind of students that are drawn to the major and the kind of people I've interacted with ever since starting this major are people with really smart things to say about literally anything. I have heard the most intellectual takes on
interesting
Lady Gaga music video, and it has really like stunned me silent. And I think I've really enjoyed the interactions I've had with professors in the program. I feel like my brain has changed, and like my ability to understand things has changed, and the way my brain works has changed as a consequence of interacting with these people. I guess in a way, like being an instructor or being a professor would be really cool to have that kind of experience with other people. To continue, I guess the cop-out answer is that I'd love to keep being a student.
Nothing wrong with that. I know people that literally if they could, they would be lifelong learners in the sense of just constantly taking classes and always learning something.
I love learning. I am tired of academia. So I do think it's one of those things where once my undergrad's done, we're gonna see where I go. But
Yeah, take a little break.
yeah, but
it it kind of gives me like almost philosophy vibes a little bit too,
it does
where
feel that way sometimes.
yeah,
There was a one of the classes I'm taking right now is rhetorical traditions, and
okay,
that course is really cool because it kind of guides you through a bunch of different approaches to how to study rhetoric. So at some point you do like the classic like, and Plato said this, and ethos, pathos, logos, and I was like, I know that one.
I've seen that before. Yeah,
And yeah, and then it kind of dives into like why would we have to rely on those kinds of channels of communication to interact with people, and then you
sure.
kind of go into some other guy, and like one of the people we talked about was like Bernays, and like Bernays was writing in the 30s and was writing about like social control and stuff, and a lot of his stuff got used by not great people in history to to control narratives and stuff,
Mhm.
and it kind of builds and builds and builds, and it's really interesting.
Good. I
It
mean,
feels a little bit philosophy-y sometimes,
sure,
but
sure.
I think
I
more
can
than
hear I can hear the passion in your voice, and I think that's truly the secret sauce for any field of study is just being interested in something and not just doing it because someone tells you to do it or doing it because you think it's going to pay a lot of money. I mean, that's nice, but if you're not into your thing, if you're not really into that pursuit of furthering yourself, then you burn out. You burn out pretty quick.
and I did. I think it was
Ah,
one of those things where I have been taking the practical choice probably for I had been making the whatever I thought the practical choice was since probably as long as I've been able to make a choice.
yeah.
And that goes for high school. I've always been told that I came across as like little old lady kind of like speaking
This is
with
a perfect transition, actually. You mentioned in your form that you wanted to quote unquote act more your age. Are you 20, 21 now?
I just turned 21.
Just turned 21. Elaborate what that means because I feel like that can be a lot for
Sure.
different people.
I feel like I've been taking the not the high road, but I've been making what I thought would be the most mature choice since for as long and that extends to like how I've conducted myself socially, or like how I've chosen my major, or how I went about college, or whatever. And now that I've moved out, I this has nothing to do with like my family inherently because I absolutely love my mom, but
Yeah.
I think there's something that, and I'm sure you get this on some level where it's like being like my mom being Puerto Rican and us moving here. It's like, well, I have to make the most of this like opportunity, and it never stops feeling like a crazy opportunity. Like the place where I live and this area and the
Right.
access to things feels so insane to me all the time. And I think for a long time, I very much wanted to try to not mess it up. And that I think reached a point where I was just like not that I was living my life for other people, but I was just like, I had no idea of what I actually wanted because I was just so scared of doing the wrong thing. And
You know the premise of survivor's guilt?
yes,
This this feels very similar to like immigrants' guilt, where for a lot of us who are first gen American or moved to this country when we were young and our parents really sacrificed a lot to get us here. Yeah, I get that feeling, and a lot of people do get that or feel that same thing where it's like, okay, you have sometimes you do have this feeling of the world on your shoulders, and but even if your parents aren't necessarily always on your back or always telling you got to do this, you got to do that, there is that inherent feeling of
I
I
owe it
have
all
to.
to you.
Right, I have to succeed, I have to show that I'm capable, etc. And there's nothing wrong with having a driving force to say I want to show that I this was a value, this was an investment worthwhile. um, but sometimes it can lead to dangerous thoughts of like, okay, I'm never enough, and or in your case, kind of feeling like you're not yourself necessarily, like you're doing things because you're fitting a mantra or you're fitting a particular expectation.
and it was both of those. I was one of those students that I was like, well, high school's easy, and I've never really had to study, so life is great, and my self worth is at an all time high because like I'm
Right.
actually doing great at the one thing that it matters, which is getting good grades, and nothing else has ever mattered ever.
Yeah.
And then college hit, and not having like all the structures that I relied on hit because I moved to the middle of nowhere, and I think at some point I was realizing that I wasn't super. I had made a life for myself, Gilmore Girl style, in this corner of Florida, and I was really happy.
Yeah.
I'm still friends with a lot of people I met there, and I really did have a come to really enjoy living there. But there were a lot of things that I wanted for myself. Like I still craved, aside from the fact that I was really struggling with online learning. I just realized that there was a lot of stuff that I felt like I wanted for myself, but it didn't feel like it was like it felt frivolous.
Yeah.
Like, well, why would I've saved every penny that I've made from this. I have like put so much into my savings just in case of
Hmm.
something bad happening or of like, I don't know, some future thing. And one day in the distant future, I'll move out, but I don't know when that's going to be because that can only really happen when it makes sense. And I don't know, I need a good reason to do it. And
Sure.
I think at some point I was just like, I don't I know I want this. Like I know I would be happy if I just went out and did this kind of not impulsive thing because I saved up money to do it. But I don't know. I was just like, I really want this for myself. And I don't know if that's the most mature choice or the smartest choice or the most like making sure nothing bad happens and that I don't waste anyone's opportunities that they've offered me choice. But it's what I want.
Yeah, and I think in those moments, it's you obviously there's a degree to everything, right? Like you can't just say throw all caution to the wind and say I'm going to do the stupidest thing possible because my id desperately wants this right now and it's what I must do. I mean, that can cause serious repercussions, right? Depending on how bad it is. But sometimes you just do something stupid because it makes you happy,
Yeah.
right? You just do something because it's an impulsive, I want this now, why not? And you're treating yourself. And I think as long as you're overall, it's kind of like if you think of it, I think of it kind of similar to like how our relationship with food should be. You can of course go out and eat your Five Guys or whatever and have your treats, but if you did that daily, it could lead to some more problems in the future. So having some sort of balance within how your day to day looks, but then having those moments that, in my adult life now, I have those moments on my calendar basically.
Yeah.
And I can say, oh, this Friday, which I'm actually doing, there's this club event with music that I love that's going to be like a dance party. And I can really look forward to that because I'm like, you know what? Why not? It's a lot of fun. So I totally get you. It's something that it's letting go a little bit of the reins and saying, I'm going to just do this because I want to do this.
Yeah, this is so silly. There's have you watched the Bridgerton and or the spin-off series Queen Charlotte?
My wife has watched, I think, both Bridgerton for sure, but not
Okay, Queen
Queen
Charlotte is
Charlotte.
the better show, but
Okay. Okay.
like I mean they're both good, whatever. But for different reasons. But there's this line in Queen Charlotte where the king is confessing about how he's grown up with this tremendous pressure of like being royalty and whatever, and he was like, when I was a kid, and he's grown up to have like this crazy anxiety and whatever. And at some point, like when I was younger, like there was no room for mistakes. Like if I didn't do my math homework, it was to the ruin of England. And if I didn't eat my vegetables, it was to the ruin of England. And it's generally how it felt like all throughout
Yeah.
like like I felt like mistakes were something I was supposed to constantly avoid. Anyways, I move out and I decide that I really want to try to like the only reason to move out and to spend the money on moving out is just so that I could be happy
Right.
and get something that I want to get out of life. And
Of
maybe that's not
course.
and I think that's felt like such a frivolous thing of like that's not a requirement. You don't have to be happy, but I want to be.
Sure.
And ever since moving down, I've done stuff like I don't know, make plans with friends to go out somewhere, or
There you go. Just
I
have
threw
fun.
I threw my first birthday party, which I was
There you go.
sort of
Nice. Was that for your 21st?
yes, and I did
Very
not
nice.
get as drunk as anyone wanted me to. I
Hey,
drank
you still got a long life ahead of you, so don't worry about that.
I drank half a Moscow Mule, and everyone was really ready to buy me my second drink, and I just never finished the first one.
That's
But
fair. That's fair. I'm
Yeah,
glad you had a good time though, and
just
you're
getting
you're able to spend time with people you care about. So that's the most important thing, you know. Let's go ahead and pivot back to like a reflection moment now of high school and how things were back then. It wasn't terribly long ago you were in high school, but the there's a lot of changes that happen. There's a lot of growth that occurs.
I think
Is there a
3 years.
moment? Huh? Sorry.
I think it has been 3 years though.
It has been 3 years. I mean,
Yeah.
in 3 years, a lot can happen.
I'm gonna
But
tell
yeah. I feel you. Is there a moment from my class or just high school period that really stands out to you when you think back to that time?
I think I spent a lot of lunch times in teachers' rooms throughout my entire like high school career. I spent more time in teachers' rooms for lunch than I did in the lunchroom or anywhere else.
Yeah,
And maybe they were all different teachers at different points, but they were all like teachers' rooms. And I think that was really nice. I think I felt safer there because I didn't feel these were people I knew, and maybe it's just something about the fact that I've grown up. Like I've had to learn how to be around people my age for whatever reason. Like I
nothing
feel
wrong with
like as I've gotten older, I've had to learn how to be more playful and stuff.
that. Yeah, yeah.
I think there was this one time I was talking with this teacher who I don't know because I actually don't remember what last name they go by these days, but I had just started dating Ezra.
Hmm.
And this is kind of like a really silly, only slightly to my story.
Okay.
I never had a first kiss. And I was really stressed out because I was like, what if I hate it? And the guy's cool. I like the guy. He's really nice. He's really great. I love to hang out with him. What if I hate it? And I had mentioned this to one of my teachers, and she had given me the advice that I wasn't really expecting. But she was like, I mean, you just kind of find someone that doesn't gross you out, and if you have a good time with them, you can talk about with them about things, then just hold on to them. And I was like, that is an extremely unromantic answer, but considering how practical I was at this time in my life, I was like, that makes sense. And mind you, I don't want it to come across like, and that's what Ezra does for me. He is
Right,
like, oh
right.
my god, he's great, he's amazing.
Someone you're not grossed out by.
Yeah, he's performed much above that, like what that very low
Yeah, yeah.
expectation was.
It's a
Um,
very pragmatic piece of advice, but it's true, at bare minimum.
it stuck with me because in much like with everything else in my life, I approached this in a very practical way, and I was like, well, love isn't like a natural thing that happens to people. Like people don't actually fall in love and live happily ever after and junk.
Yeah.
And hearing someone that I thought was very practical be like say a very practical answer was like, I knew this woman, I had seen this woman track with her husband before. That woman was in love. Like she was living a very happy life at the time, and someone I looked up to. And I think hearing that an adult or someone that I thought had their stuff together, and maybe someone that I was trying to emulate by like being mature or whatever,
Sure.
be just as like, I'm figuring it out too, girl. Like I think was really I think I needed to see that. I think I needed to know that you actually don't reach a point where you reach like maxed out the maturity skill. And
Right, right.
everyone,
You're always gaining things and learning things, It's even
yeah,
the teachers, I think that's something sometimes a mistake teachers can fall for is, they're the adults in the room, and sometimes there's a power influx of wanting to always show that you're right, or always wanting to show that you're the one in charge. And I get rules and I understand establishing certain things and whatever, but if you make a mistake, own it. Or if you don't know something, just say it. And it really humanizes a lot more and shows that everyone goes through the same process of learning. So that's a great story. I really like that you shared that. That's a fun one. While we're still reflecting on our past, let's move on to our next major signature segment. So, another thing I ask all my guests is if you had a chance to sit in front of your past self, so let's say it was your past version of Jay, what would you tell yourself?
I think it actually was never that serious. Like I don't think any of it ever has been. And I know that there's definitely, again, like you said, there's an extreme. none of it was to the ruin of England. None of it was like not any mistake that you could have, the test that you were stressed about, the SAT score that you were worried about. There actually is a pivot to everything, you know,
Yeah.
and it's actually really fun to be able to just embrace that and figure it out as you go along. But like you need to make the mistake, and to do that, you need to understand that it's not that serious, and just do the thing that you're worried about that's embarrassing or risky or frivolous or immature. Like
And
just
just ride with it. Yeah. Do you think younger Jay, would have believed you?
coming from me
From
now, or
you now, yeah.
just like disembodied apparition.
I mean, you can think of it like a Force Ghost from Star Wars if you want, but like without getting too into the weeds of like, oh, but would I know it's me from the future? But in general, let's say you were just a mystery figure.
I think I probably would have not listened, and that's probably because I would have been like, well, like regardless of if it was a disembodied voice, if I actually knew like the person that it was coming from,
Right.
I think I'd be like, well, what evidence do I have that that person like has their stuff together? And it's like if
Yeah.
she'd seen me, I don't know that she necessarily would have been like, oh yeah, the girl that's getting like high C's and B's in college really has her stuff together. I think she would have been like, well, yeah, of course, that's nice for you, but I'm a straight A student and I haven't got my stuff together.
That's fair. I think it would have definitely been a moment of, not that you'd blow her off, but you probably would have had to figure this stuff out on your own to be like, okay, what's my journey going to look like? Because I've had conversations with other people where sometimes they feel like when they were in that time of teenage life, they were looking for someone to basically tell them what to do. But other times, like in your situation, you had everything under control in high school. Things were pretty chill. Things were, you thought like, okay, I'm following instruction,
Yeah.
the guidelines of life. So yeah, that's a fair assessment, I think. Let's go ahead and finish things off by talking about a little bit looking ahead and what our life is looking like right now, and in the future. What's something that you say you're actively working on? So obviously you're working towards your degree, but outside of your degree, are you doing any like personal writing and creative writing examples or experiences?
I've been opening myself up to the idea of doing it more. I think I've been because I had scared myself out of like the creative writing of it all. Even though it's something that I guess I've always really enjoyed doing. I had like my weird little poetry account in high school that I only told like two people about and then deleted, and as one does in high school.
Yeah.
And but as I've gotten more comfortable like writing essays and stuff, I feel like I really enjoy it. I think I played with the idea of doing a Substack or something, but
Do it 100%. I mean, the thing is, like, so for me, the podcast
yeah,
has been a really great experience just to find an outlet
mm,
and find something else to keep me preoccupied. And having those opportunities, I'm not working in a highly creative field per se, but having those opportunities to nourish that side of me that I think hasn't really been nourished in a long time has felt great. And sure, maybe there's a world where your thing that you start to publish blows up, and like that's how you become known, is people are waiting at the edge of their seat for every upload that you have and every Substack post that you have or every poem that you upload. But even if that never happens, it's for you, right? And even the small group of people that may see this stuff, you never know how that might influence them.
yeah, it's definitely been one of those things where I've been letting go. Like, well, everything has to build towards the ultimate goal and whatever. And I think as I've gotten more comfortable, it's just like, well, what if I just did this because I want to and because it's fun, and it's so
Yeah,
and maybe it fails or whatever, but I did it and it was fun. Just like moving out was just like really fun.
exactly. You're just kind of trusting it's the trust fall situation, just saying, let's see what happens, and what happens next is what happened next. No big deal. Our final question is an interesting one. So you're still a student, so you're still going through a lot of this anyway. But growth when we're young is so often determined by what the adults tend to make decisions of. So, like in school, for example, it was like, are you getting enough A's? Are you on time to class? Things of that nature. Now that you're 21, now that you're an adult, now that you're living on your own, well, how do you determine what growth is for you?
I think I I feel like I genuinely laugh more. Like I feel like I genuinely feel happier. I think feeling happy and feeling like I think there was definitely a point in my life where I felt like not only was I maybe not aligned with what I wanted to do, but I also didn't know that I really made a difference in anyone's life. I didn't know that anybody
Mm.
would see me. I didn't know that it mattered.
Yeah.
And I think now, ever since I feel like I've gotten acquainted with who I am and who I want to be, and just putting myself out there socially and getting to know people, making friends, whatever. I've realized that I feel happy, and the world is not as scary as I ever thought it was going to be. Good, like
Hmm.
people want to be good. Ultimately, I do believe that, and
Yeah.
I think I think I just happiness. I know that's like kind of a very like cover all answer, but I think happiness.
That's a good answer. It's a true answer. It's something you've been able to, like, as you've been talking about, open up more to and search for the true answer to who you want to be. Right. I got one little bonus question because I meant to ask something similar to this really early on.
Oh yeah,
So you've been working in coffee for a little while,
yeah, yes.
and in that process of working with coffee, let's say a hypothetical
Mhm.
where Benito Bad Bunny came into your I know it's a drive-through that you were working at previously,
Right,
but
right,
came into
yeah,
your coffee shop.
right, right.
What design could you make out of foam
Oh,
that you could hand to Benito and say, "Hey, here you go."
Benito is not gonna remember me.
Can, I mean, what's in your wheelhouse here? Can we do like at least the stars and or not the stars, the little swirls and the
Uh,
hearts?
a really a tulip that's been in the Publix flower aisle for maybe like a week longer than it should have.
Okay.
Or a bear. Really, my go-to was bear. Get a little spoon and you just like
A
do like
bear?
well, you do like three little dots of just like the white foam, and then you do
Uh-huh.
like a needle shaped thing, and then you draw like the little eyes and nose, and like that's a really easy one if you're not good at it, which sounds
That's not bad. I feel
yeah,
like you could tweak that and make a little frog like the little sapito that he has.
yeah, that could be like that'd be a good one. Like,
Maybe not the full figure, but just the head,
no,
just the
I think
face.
I got on the first try. That's perfect. Like,
Could you imagine if he was waiting for your coffee and you've made like 4 or 5 cups just desperately trying to make the perfect one?
if the coffee
Oh.
isn't perfect, it is to the ruin of Puerto Rico.
Yeah, the family bonds there will be deeply, deeply disappointed.
They're revoking. They're gonna shred my birth certificate.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Okay, well, Jay, I really appreciate you spending time talking with me today. Is there any final statements you wanted to share?
You should publish what your top most listened to song is, because I had to air my business out, and you played a lot of music in classes, so
I did, but okay. I mean, look, I have YouTube music. I'm actively pulling it up right now. I swear to you that I don't know if there's an option for that. It does generate like a end of year thing, like all the other streaming
oh,
services do.
well, I'll
But
be
I will look into this personally, and I will DM you personally and say, "Hey, here's what my top listen to song." I have no shame.
I
It's not.
like asking people because it's also like, and why? And usually it's because it's like, well, that's my workout song, or that's my go to bed song, or
Mm.
it's like people always have like a funny reason for it.
Odds are it would probably be something in my workout playlist because I have a very like specific workout playlist. It's about 110 songs, but like those songs shuffle so often. But if it wasn't that, I think off the top of my head, I would probably say either a James Blake song, a Sampha song, or a K Tronada song. One of those artists. Those are some of the big names that I've been always listening to for the last couple of years. But this year in particular, I can feel like it's been more in my recent memory.
Cool. Thank you for airing out your business.
Yeah, no problem. I will do more research to try to find out. But for everyone else, if you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who could use a reminder that growth isn't always linear. Follow us on Instagram at the Catching Up Podcast for clips every Friday and new episodes every Wednesday. And thank you for listening to Catching Up, where conversations continue beyond the classroom. I will see you next time.